Hey folks, Clark here with CPRV. So we'll talk a little bit about this Predator 3500 generator. We've discovered that we had an oil leak down under here. I took it all apart the other day and cleaned it up, but I've since done a little bit more research, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go in here and add a little bit of this Permatex Ultra Black to one little area where the wire comes out of the engine housing that is connected to the low oil sensor. That's where that oil is wicking out. First step is to take this side of the cover off. Pretty straightforward. You got to get two little rubber plugs out right here. We've got screws on this end and this end. There are 3 screws across here. Let's get after it now. I'm going to go ahead and use my pocket knife to gently pry these pieces out of the top here. 2 rubber plugs. And we're going to set our parts over there. And we'll just start taking the screws out. After messing with this for a minute or two, I decided I was going to take the easy way out and not give myself carpal tunnel. So get these loose. Again, there's screws on this side right here that have to come out. You got to basically take this end cover loose. So I'm just going to take all of those screws out. That will allow the whole thing to come free. And then on this end, there's a single screw here at the top that has to come out. These screws are all the same. Then we've got a 10 millimeter to undo these down here. Now I've undone them before, and I knew I was going to probably take it back apart, but there are 3 bolts down here that are screwed in at the bottom. I've still got a little oil, residual oil here from all the oil that has leaked down there. Not from running it again, because just cleaned it up, but I obviously missed a little bit there in that process. So those 3 are out. Okay, so what I did was I just went and grabbed 2 pieces of 2x4, little small pieces of 2x4. We're going to create a little jack stand here. Just jack this up and set it on it. Gets these wheels off, because what we've got to do now is we've got to pull the wheels loose, take the cover off of both of them. 2 covers. Set those aside. And then we've got a little cotter pin here. Retaining clip. Just pops off. And the wheel comes loose on both sides. This one has the brake on the back of it. Just be careful about that. And at this point, it just sort of comes off. Easy enough. And what I got to do is I got to pull enough of the pull starter out to be able to set it up here on top so it's out of our way. Okay. So now we're inside. I'm going to grab the camera here and I'm going to show you a little bit more closely exactly what's going on in here. So we had oil that leaked all down in here, all the way through this entire area. It was absolutely just soaked. This is the ignition module for the spark plug, and as a result, this thing was totally encased in oil. Had oil all down in it. There was oil all down in this bottom, down in here. Literally enough so that, now there are actually weep holes in the bottom of this. You probably won't be able to see them right here, but if you take yours apart, you'll find them down underneath there. The culprit at this point is, let's see if I can get to it. Yes, there it is right there. So this is the low oil sensor that would shut the engine down if it detected that there was not enough oil in there. What's happening is, because of the way this is routed, it is wicking down this and going down. That wire goes down all the way to right here, where it then goes into this plug. And so the top of this plug all the way through that plug, totally soaked in oil. You can still see a little bit of oil residue in this part right here. So my plan is to put the Permatex Ultra Black right in this area right here, get it in and out of that hole a little bit to close that hole up. And then the second thing I'm going to do is I'm going to try to put a loop in this wire, but over here on the side where it won't leak down into the ignition module. So we're going to just take a break here for a minute. One of the things I have to do next is disconnect my battery, because in order to reroute this wire, I'm going to have to disconnect my starter main line from the battery, and I need to get the battery out to do that. Okay, I've gotten the starter, the battery is loose, disconnected. I've pulled off the signal switch for the solenoid on the starter, and we're just going to take this nut right here off and reroute this wire very quickly so that it's on the other side. And it is definitely on there with a nice solid lock nut and a couple of washers. Okay, so I'm just going to pull it around like that, put it back on straight away, and get it finger tight for now, just in case I need to take it loose again while I'm doing the rest of this. So this is going to give me enough slack now with this wire that I should be able to create this loop now away from the, put that back on there as well, create that loop so that the oil will drain over here someplace as opposed to draining into that switch. So I'm going to grab a toothpick and then I'm going to try to dab it into this connection right here where the oil is seeping out. Got my Permatex here. Just going to get a little bit on my toothpick. Okay, I got a little more light on the subject here so you can see, hopefully you can see right here that I've gotten a pretty good bead of the stuff around. I got to clean up just a tiny bit of extra that I see there, but that should harden out. And then the next thing we're going to do is try to work on getting this thing bent so that it won't go into that area where we don't want it to go. We'll take care of that here in just a second. What I did was I put a zip tie right here to tie that wire off. Pulled it right over there. What that means is the low point now is over here, so it's going to drip down onto this rubber. That'll make it pretty obvious if it's still leaking. This is the shock absorber for the motor itself. So that should make it pretty obvious that it's still leaking if I see drips there. And then of course I've got it cleaned up here in the top. Hopefully you can see that, and got it just a little bit of this Permatex Ultra Black up there around that, and I'll clean that smear off. All right, so got the starter wires tightened back up, put the boot back over top of it, got the trigger wire from the starter re-engaged there. We've got this down here now so that it's got a loop in it just in case it still leaks. It'll leak over here and won't leak down on top of my ignition module. You can see down in the ignition module, if you look closely, you'll see that there's some cracks in that ignition module. If you haven't looked this up before, there is a part available out on Amazon. I'll try to link it in the video for you. And if you look really close, you can see that weep hole right there in the bottom, so that that's where the oil was leaking out and then showing up in the bed of my truck. Before we get started here, just one other thing that I wanted to share with you. I'll link back my other video on the neutral ground bonding plug, but this is the plug that I made. It goes right into one of these two AC outlets. I just prefer to keep it in the top one, and I've got it labeled so that I know what it is, just in case it falls out or somebody else starts messing around with it. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and start this baby up before I button it up, just to make sure that I didn't screw anything up in the process of doing this. I'm going to get this out of my way so I don't hit it with my arm, and we're going to So obviously didn't screw anything up there. I just need to trim this zip tie, fasten her up. Of course, putting it back together is just the opposite of taking it apart. You may be asking yourself, what is this Velcro on here for? We had to replace our awning on our 2014 Montana, and when we did, I saved the old fabric because the part of the fabric that was bad was only about that much. So we just kept it, and I took a piece of that fabric and made me a cover. So when we roll down the highway with this sitting in the back of my truck, it's totally covered up, black and white, and it just sort of sits down in the bed, and you wouldn't know it was there at a casual glance, because it is sitting down in the bed, and the bed is sprayed, so it's black, and so it really does make a big difference. Okay, last item is putting the wheels back on. Make sure you put the brake in the right spot. This honestly couldn't be much simpler. Hopefully that fix, I'll keep an eye on it. I'll update with comments in the video, and or update the video if I determine that my fix didn't work, and share that with you. But again, if you've got that mystery of oil that's all of a sudden just sort of appeared out of nowhere and you can't find where it's coming from, that's probably where it's coming from, especially if it's on this side. Obviously your oil change access is all on the other side, and if you've got one of these, you know where to change your oil. So thanks for watching. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button, and look forward to seeing you in our next video.